the closest to our scheduled start time that we have ever started before. It is a big, big day here at Realities May Vary headquarters. I am Brian Noonan. That is Cody Gough. Hello, Cody.
Hi, Brian. It's funny because we don't have a headquarters because we record remotely.
I have a headquarters. I'm in it. This is the Reality May Vary headquarters.
Or the all right. Well, I'm just some guy somewhere else here to tell you, listener, what is on today's show. And it's an action-packed show because it's always an action-packed show. The realities may vary, but the action doesn't. Wow. And Brian's got things. He's got a homecoming story. Who's homecoming? High school, college? Who knows?
Who knows?
Stay tuned. He also may or may not be brewing some beer, but I don't want to give too much away there. So we'll talk about that. Weird.
Too late.
I stepped into, speaking of homecoming, stepped back into the academic setting as a guest speaker in a college class. So I connected with the youths. We'll talk about that.
You gave a lecture? I can't wait to hear.
We'll see. I also will have, we'll start with the 30-second check-in in a second. And also my main event is I made eye contact with the man, the myth, the legend, Captain Admiral James T. Kirk himself, William Shatner.
Wow.
So there's some hot William Shatner action to get to. But
Cody on Shat action?
Yeah, very, very right. Speaking of shatting, we'll start with our quick little 30-second check-in as to how we're doing. By the way, no, we are not going to talk about any current world news that is horrifically depressing, polarizing, infuriating, and triggering, because if we do, I will just stop podcasting tonight. So
you'll stop forever?
Not forever, but I don't think I can handle it today. So
all right, that makes sense. I will say this about that situation. It is a situation that has been going on for decades. It is an extremely complicated situation. And I love the fact that on the internet, two realities cannot exist. You can disagree vehemently with what happened and yet still have unbelievable empathy and sympathy for the victims on both sides. That is not, the two are not mutually exclusive. And I think it's become another tribal argument on the internet that if you condemn Hamas, you are automatically not empathetic toward the innocent civilians in Palestine who are not part of Hamas, who are paying the price for those actions. And, and if you support Palestine, you suddenly don't care about any of the innocent people who were killed in Israel. And I don't think those have to be mutually exclusive, because the Middle East is a quagmire. Even people who study it nonstop don't have a firm handle on it. So for us to start jumping in, I think is irresponsible and silly. I feel horrible seeing the footage from both sides. And it's just, it's terrible. So that's what I got to say about that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, sometimes the state forcing millions of people to live under occupation and apartheid is the good guy. And who are we to say that they're not? So that's my take on the quote unquote complicated situation where.
Yeah, you boiled it down to two sentences there, didn't you?
One state with wildly massive amounts of power backed by the U.S., the most powerful country in history, has been systematically oppressing people and in basically an open air prison for 50 plus years. Totally. Yeah. Very nuanced. I have no sympathy for that topic at all.
That is the polar opposite.
30-second check-in. Friday, Thursday, I got my COVID shot and my flu shot, which PSA, go get them. They're very good. I would recommend not getting them in a school night, as it were, because I got a little bit of side effect action on Friday.
Little bit. You texted me that you were dying.
Yeah, it felt not great. So I've had COVID before, and the side effects pale in comparison to COVID. So let me just get that out of the way. For people that are like, oh, the vaccine's worse than the virus. It's not. Vaccine's not that bad. But, part of it was I had just come from 2 workouts at the gym 2 days in a row for like the first time in 2 weeks. So my arms were already sore. And then I'm like, flu shot left arm, COVID shot right arm. All right, let's go to bed. And then get woken up in the middle of the night by my son. Not a great recipe, not a great cocktail for success on my Friday morning. So I wake up, my bones are all achy. I'm just like, oh man, I feel just the worst. Had a couple meetings in the morning. At noon, I just like laid down because I work from home. So just like laid down, curled up in my ball on my bed, like a little baby, and passed out for like a half hour. Woke up, I was all wet because apparently a fever had broken.
Did you peed yourself?
I fed myself after that. But yeah, so PSA, get your flu shot, get your COVID shot. Please do not get the flu or COVID; those are bad, and they'll be just a huge pain. But get the shots. I would recommend if you're parents, don't get them the same day because the next day you could both be out of commission for a few hours. And again, if it's on a work night, maybe just save it for the weekend or someday when you've got an easy day at work where you can call in sick. Because I've heard from a couple friends that this COVID shot does tend to maybe pack a little bit of a punch.
Really?
So yeah, again, very pro doing this, very pro, whatever. But
sure,
I think science communicators did a disservice during the pandemic when so many of them said, like,
weren't you a science communicator during the pandemic?
I was, okay. But so many other ones were like, it's not a big deal. Oh, it's just a shot. It's just not a big deal. You don't feel anything, blah, blah, blah. Well, no, admit it that it kind of sucks. And there's a little bit of side effect action sometimes. Like I had crazy diarrhea after the first one, but like you didn't hear me wanting to be going out getting COVID instead because I'll take a little bit of that over COVID any day of the week. So I just think it's nice to be honest. So I'm being honest. Sure. Like this shot packs a punch, may pack a punch, maybe not for everybody, but maybe it will. So plan ahead and brace yourself. And then it's still better than COVID. That's my PSA.
Yeah, I haven't gotten my new booster yet. I know Molly and Debbie both got sick from their previous boosters. I did not. I think one of them, I felt a little out of sorts for a couple hours, but that was it. But I know it knocked Molly on her ass, and Debbie did not do well either. But they're chicks. Mike says he survived his 2 shots too. Same with his 82-year-old mom. Yeah, my mom, who was ironically also a chick. I don't think she got sick from the boosters, but we got to see. Eric shouting us out from Maine. Well, I'm glad you're better. Yeah, your texts were I forget. I was texting you about something. And you were telling me that you were just almost dead. Yeah, you were very dramatic in your text. I was worried.
What was I? I think because I texted you kind of I brought it up. I'm just like, oh, I'm dying. I didn't even know if you wanted anything.
Oh, I'm dying. I'm looking back to see. It's I had forwarded you some email. Just forwarded it to you, and you said I am going to effing die, so I may be delayed. Just try to, then, what's it? I am effed up. Get your shots on the weekend if you haven't already. JFC. I curled up in a ball on my bed and just laid there dying for about an hour. Now I feel slightly better, but I'm also wet, like a fever broke.
A fever definitely broke.
All right, so don't get the vaccine on a work night. Yeah, you were out of it. You were just texting in delirium.
Yeah, I was just looking at a tweet that I got that maybe there was a weird thing with our timeline on Facebook, but I believe we are being viewed on the Facebook.
Well, I'm looking right now.
Well, because the person that tweeted me commented in the feed, so I think we're good now. But
okay.
Yeah, how are you? What's your 30 seconds?
I am not. I don't want to get into it, but I'm not. I'm having a bad couple days mental health wise. So
yeah,
that is. But yeah, I mean, it's tomorrow. I have to go. I just got off the air at WTMJ. Tomorrow I'm driving up to Milwaukee to be on from noon to 3. So busy. And other than the fact that I can barely function, I'm fine. I'm great. Thank you.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, last week, and by the way, apologies to all of our loyal listeners for last week. It was my fault. Last minute, I realized Monday night, the night we're supposed to record this, that Tuesday morning I was supposed to guest lecture at a class, which I'd had on the calendar for like 2 months. And I had not really formally put together my image. Like I knew what I was going to say, but I didn't have to make a presentation or anything. It's very casual, but I like to be high quality. I finished my crazy busy work day and I'm like, I need like an hour to just sit, collect some thoughts, organize them. So I go in and I know what I'm talking about.
You can find your tweed blazer.
Oh, I didn't bring in a tweed blazer.
I thought all lecturers had to wear a tweed blazer.
No, it was really hot. You know, it's that like fall weather season.
Your talk or the weather?
Both, but it's that fall weather season, Brian, you know, the thing where the temperature drops to like 50 or 60. So all the heat cranks up to like 85 inside.
Okay.
You know, so I stripped as soon as I got in the room.
What were you going to give? What did you have to give a presentation or lecture on?
I was invited by a former colleague of ours, WGN radio colleague, who was teaching a course on podcasting.
Oh,
and I do podcast marketing. So
it seems right up your alley.
I was a little talk on podcast marketing, growth, how to promote shows, what are some good tactics. So I did that. But but Brian, how it relates to our show is, so I had this slide, and the whole slide is just the phrase, does your podcast need video?
Oh, yes.
Now, guess what I intended? Now, the next slide had in giant letters, like the half of the slide was just the word maybe. And then under that were like,
way to take a stand, Professor.
Well, under that were like 5 bullets. So here's the thing. For those who are not like podcast experts like me, weirdly, so earlier this year, YouTube was like, you can now podcast on YouTube. The YouTube supports podcasts. You can make video playlists and call them podcasts, and people can open the YouTube Music app and listen to podcasts on it. There's this whole thing. And YouTube is also like, but you know what does way better than regular podcasts?
What?
Is video podcasts.
That sounds good.
Now, do you think it benefits YouTube in any way to say that?
I'm going to equate that with when a sleep study is done by a mattress company. I'm going to say, well, I'm not an expert like you, but I'm from a layman's point of view. I'm going to say yes.
Right. And I'm not Mr. Conspiracy. I'm sure YouTube made it up. It's all a scam. No one watches video podcast. Like, no.
Well, videos, that's YouTube's platform is video. Exactly. Why wouldn't they say, hey, videos are pretty cool?
Exactly. Of course. So in that lens, I took their recommendations. I read YouTube's like 70-page PDF on how it recommends you approach video podcasts.
To the class?
Not even kidding. It basically could have been. No.
I was going to say snooze-a-roo.
No, like 4 months ago. And 4 months ago, for one of my employers, one of my many employers, I was doing a bunch of research and I crunched the numbers and analyzed like 40 YouTube channels in a particular category to see, is this really true? Like, how are they really performing? Like, are they picking up, every variable? How long have they been out there? How big is their channel? How big is their podcast? How many people are watching the podcast compared to their other videos? I mean, it was an audit. It was an audit. And my conclusion was basically no, like it wasn't, you didn't know if video was better. So anyway, that was my conclusion. So yeah, some cases it's good, some cases it's bad. The point is, well, go ahead.
Professor, may I ask, how do you know then? If some is good and some is bad, that's very ambiguous.
Yeah.
That doesn't really help me as a future podcaster of America.
Yeah. Well, so I said, I had in my slide, this is what I had planned, right?
Okay.
I'm going to ask them the question, assume that they say yes or no, and then jump to the maybe, and then say, well, depends on the target audience. And is it scripted or not? And where are they already? And how big is your channel? And yada, yada. There's factors, right?
Okay.
When I put up the slide that said, does your podcast need video? Every single hand in the class went up and they said yes.
Wow.
So it's
because the people in the class 18 to 22, I'm guessing.
It's the youth, Brian.
The youths they can't listen to things without seeing pictures.
So our show is optimized for the youth.
Good. We want youth drinking. That's our goal. Get the underagers drinking. That's this show is also optimized for I don't know what show. I don't know how many shows I do. I do a lot of shows. Yeah, we're optimized for the youths. Hi, youths. What's happening? Good to see you. We obviously, okay, good. That's, I guess that's good. I know you are, as a rule, not a fan of video for podcasts. Would that be correct?
Not anymore.
Now you're on board?
I don't watch them, but now that I understand the production process better, now before I wasn't a fan in that I didn't really know, okay, if I shoot video, then what? Do I post the raw video, but then edit the audio? Or do I edit the video as if I'm editing audio and then just post one thing? Or how does all that work? But now I know how it works. And it's you edit the video, so it's one good looking video, and you post it, and then it also is the audio version. So that's the way it is. So yeah. Well, so if you listen to our other podcast, Crafty Brewers, Tales Behind Craft Beer.
I like that one. That's a good one.
Yeah. You can watch it on YouTube or Spotify, but if you listen to it on Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or somewhere else, you're just hearing the video. But I know that when I'm editing, so I edit it in such a way so that there's not a 10-second graphic with no audio, right?
No, we're not doing things that only the people who are watching can get. Yeah. Because to me, it is an audio platform. The video is just there as the enhancement, as opposed to the other way around. Yeah. Like when you're watching TV, which is a video platform with the audio as an enhancement, I think, ours is. Well, everything we do is audio first.
But there's some TV that is more audio than video, particularly investigation discovery.
Oh.
If you watch ID, it's their true crime channel.
Yeah.
And so many of the shows are just a narrator being and then he crawled into her window at night, but couldn't find the kitchen. So he stumbled through the pantry, looking for his victim. Wow. He pulled a bag of sugar out and smelled it. That would be his alibi, or some weird thing, right? And all it shows,
I'm terrified now, and I want to know what happens to this poor woman.
All the footage is B-roll footage,
right?
Of made up actors, just
reenactments,
reenactments, right? You could remove all of the visuals from that, and it literally is just a pot. And then it'll have an interview, and it'll show some woman crying in her living room. I wanted so much sugar from my cookies, and I couldn't bake the next day, and he stole the sugar, and I never.
I was going to say, is this the same guy who was lurking?
He was lurking.
Yeah. Okay, all right.
Turns out the sugar was actually the victim.
What? How could that be?
Plot twist. And yet
it's a plot twist.
And yet, if I had put cheesy stock actor footage behind what I just said, it would have been the same story.
All right. So we're geared up. We're good. Now, how was it? How were you received by the students after they all said yes, we need? How were you received as a whole? And once you showed them the maybe slide, did they lose confidence in you?
Nah, I skirted around it.
Nice.
You're all Gen Z, so of course you'd say yes. But think about other audiences. Come on. I can think on my feet, Brian.
I know you can.
I usually don't, but I can.
You can if you need to.
Yeah.
If you're going to give a lecture. How long was your presentation?
It was weird because the professor kept kind of jumping in with questions and to talk or to share anecdotes or give more context to the students. This is very conversational, very informal, but I was there probably an hour 15 maybe.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah. It was good. I don't know. They seemed to like me. One young lady said thank you on my way out. I told them all, hit me up on LinkedIn. I know none of you use LinkedIn because you're all 18 and none of your friends on LinkedIn have jobs. So there's no point. But like, I have jobs and know people. So connect with me and I'll make an intro if you want. So a couple people reached out and, whatever, said, hey, thanks for coming. So I don't know. They were nice. It was, I don't have that interaction with the youth like you do, Brian.
Yeah, well, count your blessings. You interact with other youth. You interact with teeny youths. They're your own progeny, though.
Yeah, none of them wiped their nose on my sleeve or shirt or anything.
Take that as a bonus.
Mm-hmm.
Would you want to go in? Would you want to teach podcasting to the youths?
Oh, then I'd have to come up with a syllabus. I don't know.
Right. Syllabus. You'd have to do more slides.
I don't
Just
know.
go in as a guest lecturer. I would stay in your niche as a guest lecturer, where they bring you in as like a hired gun.
I wouldn't do it for what I would probably get paid to do it for it as an adjunct.
Right.
If they gave me like $1,000 for like a semester plus grading homework, like
too much.
No, it's
too
like
much work.
$4 an hour. No,
pass.
No, but you got to have a master's to do like anything else. So
listen, you don't need them. You don't need those higher ed goons. You could just stay doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Wow.
Good for you. Well, that's exciting. Now, you promised us some hot Cody on Kirk action.
I did.
I'm dying to know. If you were like at a Comic-Con and he called you a loser like he did on Saturday Night Live that time. How do you interact with a Captain James Tiberius Kirk?
All right. So last night in Rockford, Illinois.
Home of the Rockford Peaches.
And one Cody Gough. There was a screening at the historic, I believe 1941-ish, somewhere around there. The historic Coronado Theater.
Ooh.
Beautiful theater, like more beautiful and ornate and ostentatious than like the Nederlander downtown.
Wow, that is a bold claim.
Oh, Brian, no, it is. I mean, it's like if you took the Auditorium Theater or the Riviera Theater, like the day it opened.
Wow.
Because the Coronado was restored 20 years ago.
Yeah.
One of my best friend's mom actually was the chair of the committee that did the restoration. And it was like a multi-million-dollar restoration, like brand spanking new, gorgeous building. Just so, I mean, it's that style of that era, right? Where there's dragons sketched into the walls. And
when going to the theater was a big deal because the theaters themselves were a big deal.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the Coronado, fun fact, the last time I was there, it was 20 years ago when I performed as the Scarecrow in the all-city musical, The Wiz.
Wow. The all-city musical?
Yeah.
What is the all-city? So it was schools from all over, or did you have to go in and audition?
Yeah, all the public school students were eligible to audition, and I got cast as the Scarecrow.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. You're just coming off with all the flexes tonight. I love it. I love it. So you go to the Coronado. What are they doing? Is he just up there tap dancing and singing like he used to do?
No, so it's like a night with William Shatner and a screening of Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan.
Ooh, I like that movie.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Great movie. So they do the screening of Star Trek II, and then there's a Q&A with William Shatner. Whoa. And then there's a photo op if you get a VIP ticket. So of course. The guy's 92.
You got to get, if you're going to go, you might as well spring for the VIP ticket.
Right. He's literally 92, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Like unreal. So, we're like, we got to see this. I mean, I was supposed to see him do this in Madison 5 years ago, pre-pandemic, and something came up. I think it was either my brother's wedding or some other big, like, you clearly cannot miss this night kind of thing.
Oh, no.
Like a wedding. So I was like, we got to go. So So we show up, we sit down, and the Wrath of Khan plays. It's the same Wrath of Khan everyone has seen 40 times. This is the second. So my wife and I have only been together like 7 or 8, or well, I guess 9, almost 9 years now. 9 years. We've seen it. This is our second time seeing it in a theater because we saw it at the Music Box.
Oh my God. I saw it at the theater when it came out. That was it. Because I'm old.
Dude. So everybody clapped when that happened. So he does that, and then he comes out for the Q&A, and just William Shatner. And we were in the third row.
Okay.
Because I don't mess around with live performances, Brian. If I'm going to see William Shatner, I want to see the pores on his face.
Probably a little close for the movie, but for the William Shatner viewing, perfect.
Surprisingly, the film screen was back on the stage, and it was not big.
Oh, really?
Like, it was not the size of the stage. It was like a third.
Like William Shatner brought it in the trunk of his car?
Dude, we brought it. We walked in. We're like, dude, if we were 4 rows back, we'd be better off watching this at home on my TV. But whatever. So William Shatner walks out, and there's 2 chairs and a couple glasses of water. The moderator walks out, introduces him, goes and sits down. William Shatner comes up and just walks to the front of the stage and just starts talking. Oh, Jesus. And Brian, how would you imagine William Shatner is in real life?
I've heard stories and I've seen him on interviews. I think he's very overly confident, overly confident would be how I would, and very full of himself, very like he's William Shatner, and you are lucky to be in the same building as he is.
I got to split the difference somewhere, but not too much.
Okay.
Like I didn't quite get like a pompousness, but maybe a little bit, maybe a little.
Pompous was an adjective I was going to use as well.
Yeah.
Only because I've heard interviews with other people from Star Trek.
Yeah. Boy, he just went.
He's got a lot of wisdom in those 91 years, and he wants to share it before he's done.
Brian, he walks out and he just starts talking. He's like, technology. Can you believe the technology we have? The phone in your pocket. There used to be the building the computer that they used to crack the Nazi code in World War II was the size of a building, and now it's in your pocket.
Did he talk about going to space?
Eventually, 2.5 hours later.
What?
Not 2.5. He literally talked from 9 to 11. It was,
my God.
It was long. So he starts talking about technology, and it was so like in radio.
2 hours. Okay, sorry.
What I've learned about good speakers and good radio people is that you know where they're going before they tell the story. Like you kind of they kind of say something like sorry if my voice is sorry if my voice is hoarse today. Here's what happened, and then they tell the story versus just starting to tell some rambling story and being like, hey everybody, welcome. I was at the park the other day and I was taking a walk, and there was this man running across. He was dressed like a bandit and he was holding a bag of sugar. I didn't know
you
why.
You are fixated on people stealing sugar tonight. I don't know what's going on at the house, but
this guy gets around and he went across, and there was this woman chasing him. And I thought to myself, oh my God, what do I do? And it reminded me of this thing from 25 years ago. And like, it just goes and goes and goes. And then you eventually get to like 10 minutes later, he goes, anyway, that's why my voice is hoarse. And you're like, oh, that's the point of your story. But I didn't know that. This was him with the tech thing. He started talking about technology and phones and how technology is so crazy, and he doesn't trust the switchboard of a hotel to do a wake-up call for him.
Okay, the switchboard? Is Lily Tomlin down there? A 1 ringy dingy, 2 ringy dingies. They've got the plugs. Click, 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 click.
I guess, and he's talking about setting
switchboard.
He didn't sound like a fuddy-duddy, and it wasn't too like preachy, oh my god, but it was like a weird in between. But it led to the point that because of the actor strike, he's not allowed to say the phrase Star Trek.
Really?
Well, because he's the actor.
Because he can't promote. He's not supposed to promote stuff that's done by the studios. Okay.
Right. So he's not allowed to say the phrase Star Trek. So we find some 8-year-old kid in the front and he goes, hey, what's the name of that thing I'm known for? And he gives him the mic and he goes, Star Trek, and everybody claps and it's a whole thing. So it's cute. So yeah, like 10 to 15 minutes in, he's done talking about technology and the evolution of technology. And then eventually, finally he tells us that he can't say the thing because of the strike. And then he goes off about something else. And like 20 plus minutes, he finally sits down. And the moderator knows I have about 4 seconds to ask a question before William Shatner just goes into his next thing. So I'm going to ask it. So he asks a question. And he asked him something about like, do you ever hang out with anybody else on the show? Or who do you still talk to from the show? Or something like that. And William Shatner's like, everyone I know is dead.
Yes. Everybody on that show is dead.
And then he goes, and if they're not, they should be.
Oh, except for, George Takei is not dead.
I know. And I guess, I don't know.
And they don't get along.
Yeah. But he had said something right before that, where he was like, okay, well, I'm not able to say the name of the show, but this kid just said it, so you'll all figure it out. Although, I don't know, we are in Rockford. And he goes, there is a way to ingratiate yourself with the crowd. And like, there's kind of a non-reaction because people are like, what?
Nothing like taking a dump right on your audience.
But this is the thing with him. Like, he's on some level of like troll. I think he likes to push people's buttons.
I also think he believes himself to be way more important than he is.
Later on, Brian, he told a story about how the universe just kind of like comes together for him. And talked about like,
not for his former wife who can't swim.
Oh my gosh. Jesus.
I'm sorry, go on.
That was really dark. That was so dark.
I told you I'm in a bad place.
My wife just told me about that. That was so dark. If you don't know what that was, just keep listening and ignore that happened.
So the universe comes together for the captain.
He talked about how like he went to buy a horse and that he didn't mean to buy a certain horse, but he did, and it turned into a horse breeding career. And then he loves horses now, and like weird stuff. How just weird stuff. And then
he got promoted from captain to admiral. That doesn't always happen. Just straight up from captain to admiral.
Yeah. Oh, and then he did tell a funny story about DeForest Kelley, who played Bones, Dr. McCoy, right, and Leonard Nimoy. And he told this funny story, and then he ended the story by being like, yeah, Leonard Nimoy and I were like best friends. We're best friends. But this thing happened, and one time I was riding in a limo with him and 5 other celebrities, and we were all smoking cigarettes and talking about why we smoke and why we don't quit. And then we all decided right then and there, you know what, we're going to throw out our packs of cigarettes, and we all threw them out the window, and we just decided that day to quit smoking, and that helps you live longer or whatever. And he's like, the only person that didn't was Leonard Nimoy. And then many years later, he died of emphysema because he hadn't quit smoking. And like, that was the end of the story.
Did he leave out the part where he didn't go to Leonard Nimoy's funeral?
Oh, this guy, you're Shatner.
I know my Shat.
Yeah, you should have shat with us. Oh, so when he said everyone that isn't dead should be, so first of all, 10 minutes in his rant about technology, I was sitting next to my friend Brad. My friend Brad is like one of my favorite people he's like one of my top 2 favorite people like in the world. I love Brad. Brad likes to drink sometimes.
Good for him.
And he had several doubles, and he was sitting there next to me and decided
doubles.
He's also seen, he's literally watched all of Star Trek, The Next Generation, probably 12 times. He's seen the original series. He's watched the movies at least 10 or 15 times. Like he's one of these people that just like rewatches the same thing a lot of times. And so he knows Star Trek. And like after this 10 minutes of technology, he just decided he hated William Shatner. He just keeps turning to me. He was, when people were clapping at certain things, he would boo. We're in the third row.
No, this was not the feeling he had when he went into this. This evening.
No, we're in the third row. So my wife and I are like, "Oh my God, please stop!" So when William Shatner said, and everybody that isn't should be, a couple people laughed, a couple people groaned, whatever. And then my friend Brad shouts out, "You're next."
Well then.
In the third row. It's the William Shatner.
The good thing is that William Shatner's 91. He probably didn't hear him.
92.
92.
So William Shatner yells back. He's like, "I'm sorry. Someone out there's talking. And do you have the microphone? I have the microphone. You all paid to see me. I'm the one talking. You want to talk? You go home and talk in the mirror." And he like did this thing. And everyone started clapping. My wife and I are just like, "Oh my God."
Wow. Oh, God. Well, William Shatner can't handle a little heckle.
Yeah. So I will say about like a little over an hour in, the energy just dipped and he just wasn't entertaining. It was just like, "Oh my God, please stop." And then it got pretty good right at the end. 2 hours was way too long. The theater was warm. We sat through.
I was going to say, you've already sat through a movie that's, 2 hours at least for Wrath of Khan?
It's actually pretty short. It's closer to 90 minutes, but still.
Okay.
But still, it was 2 hours, but with that and then intermission before William Shatner.
Oh my
God. Yeah, it was like a 4-hour show, basically.
That's too much.
I would recommend it. I would recommend getting an aisle seat, and I would recommend not going to see Wrath of Khan.
I'm sorry. It says right here, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, 1 hour, 53 minutes.
I stand corrected. I'm sorry. I thought it was.
I will not be contradicted.
I knew it was under 2, but yeah, you were very correct. You got me.
That's still too much.
And
even if it was 90 minutes, 2 hours of Shatner is too much.
So I would recommend seeing it again. I'll see it. Maybe skip Wrath of Khan unless you're dying to see it in a theater. But here's the thing, Brian. At no point did he talk about Wrath of Khan at all.
That's weird.
In fact,
give me some BTS on Ricardo Montalban.
He barely talked about Star Trek. And I don't know if this is a condition of the writer's strike, but he told one great story about DeForest Kelley and Leonard Nimoy, and then near the end, actually that was all. And he told one story about a day he went to shoot on set of the TV show, and he was driving there. He'd gotten into wardrobe before he drove to the set.
Cool.
And he did.
Where does he live that he got into wardrobe before he drove to the set?
California. He said it was like a 4 a.m. shoot, and so he asked the director if he could just get dressed at home. I don't know.
I'd like to dress in my own room, if that's possible.
So he got pulled over by a cop.
And
that's funny. And then he had to get out in the uniform, and he said some funny thing to the cop, and the cop let him off. And
I hope he phased the cop.
He actually set it for stun, and he did shoot the cop.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good. See, I don't think I'm thinking about the SAG strike. I think would be in the clear because the Star Trek is not in production anywhere. It's old.
Well, but I mean, there's new series on Paramount Plus.
Not that he's in.
Right. But I don't know if it's if you say Star Trek, does that imply you could be promoting Discovery or Brave New World or whatever, Strange New Worlds, or I don't know how this works. You're the SAG actor.
Yeah, but you can also get, because there was a big thing. There was some convention, a Longmire convention, which was a show that we watched, used to be on A&E. And you can get waivers for that kind of stuff because Longmire is a show that's, while it's still on, you can still watch it on Hulu or one of those channels streaming, it's not currently in production. So the actors all, SAG gave them waivers so they could go to the convention because they were not really promoting anything that the studio is making any money on. So there's a lot of ways. That's why like the talk shows can be back and game shows can be in production, but the other stuff can't. So I think William Shatner was just being a diva. I'm not here to talk Star Trek.
He talked about how he reads a lot of books. He's a curious person. It went on.
What did he say about going to space? Did he cry when he talked about going to space?
Have you read the interviews of him from when he got back?
I saw the footage when he got off and he was, blubbering.
He was not like happy with it.
Oh no?
He was like intensely not sad, but what's it like, very bittersweet or more
melancholy?
Yeah. There was a grief. He felt grief. Like
I do remember hearing that.
He said he looked up, and he says that when you're standing on Earth, you look up at space, there's awe and you're struck with inspiration, wonder. And up there, he said he was staring into death, and it was just nothingness. And then you look back at Earth, and he said, look at, everything. He had that, I think there's an effect when people go to space and they
space madness.
No, when they.
I learned that from Steve Buscemi in Armageddon.
It's amazing. No, there's some effect where when you go up, it's an effect that space
weightlessness.
What is it?
Weightlessness?
No, not weightlessness. No, it's some psychological thing where you look and you're just kind of processing that everything is in one place, and there's like a peacefulness you kind of immediately subscribe to. You're like, why can't we all just get along? We're all so insignificant, and it's all this little planet kind of a thing. Don't remember the name of it. I used to know this, but anyway.
Do you think he may have had a premonition that one day Brad would yell out, "You're next"?
He didn't.
Okay.
No, he said he looked back and he's like, and there's all this destruction and waste, and we trash the planet and we pollute it and we dump crap all over it, and there's only 2 miles of air, and then everything else is blackness, and it's very sad, and I had grief because we're gonna just destroy ourselves, and it's really sad, and we shouldn't do that. And then he reflected on it, and he was like, yeah, basically the same thing. So it wasn't like very uplifting or inspiring. It was more kind of like, yeah.
Wow. I'm with Brad. I would have been drunk. You needed a few more doubles. Brad sounds like he was he was on the right track.
He did it right.
Yeah, he sure did. Wow, that sounds like it had the potential to be great. And it didn't quite live up to the potential.
I mean, it was exactly what seeing William Shatner live should have been.
Did you get your photo op?
So then the VIP, they call everybody. You get in a big line. There's like 300 people.
I was going to say, who was the 3 cheapskates that didn't buy the VIP ticket?
I don't know. And then they said, and an intermission, Brian, there was the big screen on stage. It just said 10-minute intermission. By the way, go to the lobby and get your VIP, ticket to get your photo taken with him. If you want to do that, still get them while they last or whatever. Like this big cheesy ad, basically, for go pay us. And
yeah,
so I paid. It was $100.
That's where he makes his money.
Yeah, it was $100. At least 100 people went.
Wow. Okay.
So the guy comes out and tells us to get in line and says, just, be sure not to touch the plexiglass.
The what?
The plexiglass.
For a photo op?
Because for the photo op, William Shatner is sitting there on a stool with his hands folded. And to his left, there is a wall of plexiglass. You stand on a mark, and there's a little X in tape on the other side of the plexiglass. And they say, okay, now you go, and you take 2 steps, and you stand on the X that's on the other side of the plexiglass for William Shatner, and you look, and it takes snap, 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 snap. Great. Okay, next. And you walk away.
Does he even say hello?
Nope.
Do you lick the plexiglass? Do you get up right on it? Like, I know you're in there, Kirk. I know you're in there.
He did acknowledge me. So when you walk up, so he looks at the camera for the picture and kind of smiles, does this William Shatner thing. You do the snap, snap, snap. All right, next. And as soon as he does that, then he turns and looks at the next person coming. So I smiled and I waved. I was like, hey there. And he gave me a little smile and nod and looked at me. So I made eye contact with the great William Shatner. And then I stood over there, gave a thumbs up. We looked at the camera and I walked away.
Oh my God.
They went through the 150-ish people in probably 40 minutes.
Yeah, because nobody gets any interaction. You don't get to say anything to him. He doesn't have to speak to anyone. He just sits there in a coma. And I know he's 92, but wow. And is the plexiglass for germs or just that he hates everybody who likes him?
They said for health and safety reasons.
Oh, health and safety reasons. Sure. Okay. And he just sits on the stool. So he does glance over. He's not just frozen staring at the camera.
No, he looks at you, and I was acknowledged, and
he looks at you with
now
disdain.
I will receive the picture on the website where they post them within 72 hours.
Oh
so I don't have
God.
the picture yet.
As soon as you get that picture, you must post it.
I
wish you'd brought a sticker and just slapped it on the plexiglass, like right where his face would be so he couldn't see anybody else who was coming up.
You know what actually made me really upset is at the end of Wrath of Khan, Spock, spoiler, Spock gets radiation poisoning, and he's on one side of glass and William Shatner's on the other, and he does the Live Long and Prosper. I was thinking, I'm like, have the cameraman on William Shatner's side. I will press my face up against the plexiglass and smash it with the Live Long and Prosper and look like I'm dying. And it'll be amazing. I'm reenacting the end of Wrath of Khan. Let me do that. The plexiglass is there.
That would have been that's what they should have done because it was a Wrath of Khan event.
Yes.
That's they should have had little ears, so you painted on the plexiglass, so you put your face in so it matches up with your ears.
Oh, the ears too. Dude.
Oh God. That would have been great.
Should have done it.
This sounds wow. Now, did Brad get his picture taken?
Just me.
Just you, not the wife either?
Nah.
Wow. You throwing down for your own picture.
I almost like we saw the line. It was like already after 11. We have kids. Like I
was going to say, what do you, man? You guys, when you go out, you go out.
No, my wife was like, I'm ready for bed, and I was like, if the line's too long, I won't go. She's like, no, you paid for it. You've got to go. Yep. You will not get this chance again. Though hopefully. I gotta say, Brian, he's in good shape.
Well, yeah, he's been to space.
Dude, he was standing up and walking around, and he was very cogent. There were like 4 or 5 times he couldn't think of a word, so he'd ask the moderator. But this guy is sharp.
Yeah,
he's clearly fit. He's able to travel all over. I mean, the guy still like saddles horses and stuff.
He's 92. I mean that part's amazing.
There is something very objectively, there is something very remarkable about William Shatner.
Yeah. Well, he's seen the face of God up there. He saw his own mortality. He heard Brad shout him down. He's going to keep going just to spite him. Plus, it's all that glass, all the plexiglass keeping him healthy.
So much plexiglass.
Oh, Monique has a good idea. Use it as your Christmas card.
I think it's going to go on the Christmas card. Usually it's all about my kids because no one wants to see me, but no.
Sorry. when you're separated by plex, I can't imagine that you can't see the plexiglass in the picture.
I don't know.
This is gonna be hilarious.
It's
wow. That is a night out, my friend. That is something else.
Worth it.
Wow.
Worth it.
Oh, I'm writing down a title for the episode.
Worth it?
No.
I can't wait to see it. Yeah. So if you have the chance to see William Shatner live, again, with a couple caveats, it's probably still worth it. And like, if you're just curious to see what is this guy like live, it like I said, Brian, it did not disappoint. It was exactly how you would think it is like to see William Shatner live.
All right.
Amazing.
Well, just give yourself plenty of time. Sounds like the takeaway.
Yes, I wish we just showed up after the movie. This is stupid. Like I've seen the movie like 10 times.
But that's
why
part of
did
the
I?
ticket price in the extravaganza.
It's a good
Plus,
movie.
you probably thought with that being said, the Coronado being such a beautiful theater, it'd be a magnificent screen and sound system. It'd be, almost like an IMAX adventure.
I thought the sound was good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Photoshop
the kids
sitting on his lap. Yes.
You can Photoshop the whole family.
Oh my God.
Live long and prosper.
Oh, so in the chat, Mike sent a link to a picture of someone did with William Shatner. You can see a line in the middle that is the plexiglass.
I don't know why. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Sorry.
But it's not like you can't tell it's a sheet of plexiglass, but it is. It does look like one line. It doesn't look like a wall. If that makes sense.
That's hilarious. I'm going to find it. I got to see this. See this.
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
So that was my weekend.
That is a good weekend. That is something for you to be out, goofing around, having fun, doing things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm surprised you were able to function at all today.
Well, it was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough.
Sacrifices have to be made, right?
Well, am I the only one? I don't know about you, Brian, but our listener, but I feel like there's like a fall lull this week in work. Like everyone I know is either taking off or just non-responsive to emails.
I'm finding a lot of people are non-responsive to emails in general. You're in the business world. Is email falling out of favor with people? Is everything text or DMs or Slacks?
No, response rates to emails are always low-ish.
Okay.
Like I'm the startup I'm working with for their podcast. I think they've sent out between 200 and 300 podcast invites.
Okay.
Gotten maybe 25 to 30 yeses.
Oh,
1% response rate. And then, yeah, no. And when I did some sales consulting for a webinar company, and I sent out probably not that many, maybe a dozen emails offering to give them stuff for free.
For free.
And got one response.
That's not good.
No. And then for Giveo, my friend's video hosting company, same thing. I was offering to promote people's channels on the site and maybe like a 5% response rate.
Ugh.
Yeah, no, I don't know if it's not that it's falling out of favor. There's just maybe so much spam and crap and garbage out there that people
90% of my emails are garbage.
Everyone's defense is already up.
Well, and I had to go to a meeting the other day because I had clicked mistakenly on an email. The radio station, the company that owns WTMJ, Good Karma Brands, they send out, they try to trick us. They send out all these phishing emails trying to rope us in. And I've been really good about it. And then the other day at school, I saw one and I wasn't thinking. I was in the middle of something and I clicked on it and it was one of theirs. So it was my fault. I screwed up. But then I had to go to a meeting with the two IT guys and basically be the old man in front of the two IT guys going, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have clicked it. And it was my fault. But man, I clicked the little phishing. We have a phishing alert button on all our emails. And I am mad. I'm phishing alert everything. They got me twice this week. They sent something. I caught them. Yeah, they're not going to get me again. Not get me again with their phishing emails. I'm not falling for that. I'm not going to be the old man who's confused by email. No way.
My workplace has one of those phishing, like a phishing training thing.
Yes.
Where they'll send the email on purpose, and if you flag it, it's like, good job.
Yes, I get a little pop-up automatically. Congratulations, that email was sent as a test. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, but the funny thing is that the product, whatever, like some of the emails come from the productname.com.
Yes,
the product of the phishing company. So it's like phishingtestemails.com or whatever, and you're like, well, yeah.
I said that to them. I said the ones I get very confused are the ones that come from the training company, because I don't know if I know that's the legit company that we do our training through, but I also know that you guys are sneaky. And they're like, well, no, those will definitely be coming from us. And I'm like, I don't think so. That's what you would say if you wanted me to believe you. So now I delete every email that comes to my mailbox. I don't even open them.
That's smart.
Delete all.
That's smart.
Yeah, I'm not playing the game. I'm not playing those games.
Well, are you gonna talk about the big?
Yeah. Hold on.
We're holding. He did a couple. Well, he's got 2 topics on the calendar.
I don't know if I got.
I'm talking quieter-ish though, because my son's in bed. I'm trying not to wake him up.
Is he not running around tonight? He's
He's
being well
probably
behaved.
asleep. He got plenty of sleep last night.
Yeah.
He should have been fine all day, and like right before the show, like 15 minutes before the show, he just went like tantrum, like full meltdown.
You got the zoomies?
No, meltdown, like screaming and crying, like freaking out. I only wanted mommy, so I was like, all right.
Oh no! And how's the daughter? She's having meltdowns too?
All she does is eat and pass out.
I like that.
It's great.
I like that in a child.
She's great.
Now, did you have a heart-to-heart with the young lad and find out what the problem was?
No, I said, "Here's mommy." I said, "Here's mommy," and then I left the room.
Get to my go to mommy. That's always good. Go to mommy.
Well, he was screaming, "Mommy, mommy, mommy," and then he
Get
didn't want
used to
daddy.
It. That's they don't want daddy. Nobody wants daddy. Everybody wants mommy. Everybody. Oh yeah, everybody. So, well, I'm sorry. He was in ill temper. You know.
I'm a dad. I'm used to it.
Yeah, we got to get the 2 of them back over here. I say that all the time.
Yeah, I feel like we're hanging out at some point.
Are we?
I don't think it's on the calendar, but I feel like we've made. Yeah, I don't know.
I think there's some things. I actually had some. I had some plans. I have some ideas. Anyway, yeah. Ooh. So I don't know what. I don't know what to talk about. I did yesterday brew beer. There's the headline. I brewed beer yesterday because for Christmas, Debbie and Molly had given me a homebrew kit it comes with the whole recipe. It's almost idiot proof, but I don't want to say that because there were some tricky parts. So it's been sitting in the closet since Christmas. And I was like, well, I should probably do this before Christmas comes again, because I don't want to be that guy because if I had given somebody a gift on Christmas and by the next Christmas they still hadn't used it, I would probably not be very gracious. Go, why should I get you anything this year? You didn't even open the thing I got you last year. Plus, I realized it was just that I was a little nervous that I'd screw it up. But so Saturday, since we weren't doing Crafty Brewers, Tales Behind Craft Beer, we were not recording on Sunday because you had a date with, a spaceman. We had to, I thought, well, I have this Sunday, so I'm going to do it. So I took everything out Saturday, and much to the chagrin of Walter, who hates any sort of box, any sort of noise, or anything he hasn't seen before. Normally, he lays around the house, he's very calm. But God forbid, you have a delivery comes or anything, he loses his mind. So he's losing his mind as I'm unpacking the big boil pot and the 2 5-gallon buckets and the recipe box and a big metal spoon that I'm going to stir everything with, and my hydrometer and my test tubes. It's crazy. and I decided I'm going to do this. So I'm glad I read everything Saturday, because I had to go get a 20-pound bag of ice Sunday morning before I could start this.
20
pounds because, and they tell you, have between 12 and 20 pounds of ice, because it starts out, you put 2.5 gallons of water in the big boil pot, and you start to boil it, but you're seeping the grains like you're making tea. Well, because this is for basic first-time home brewers, all the grains are already pre-mixed. They're in a bag, and you put them in this sock, and you start steeping the grain. So as the water starts to heat, the grain is steeping, and all of a sudden, the water's turning an amber color. I'm like, oh, that's the color it's supposed to be. So that's good, because I'm making an amber ale. And then the water starts to boil. Now, before that, I had my 6-pound jug of malt extract syrup sitting in warm water to make it easier to pour out of the jug. So that's been sitting before I even started. So now it starts to boil, and I take it off the heat, and I pour in my 6 pounds of malt, and I'm stirring with this giant spoon like I'm one of the witches of Eastwick. I'm like, ha ha, and I'm stirring, and now it's got to start to boil for about an hour. So I got to get it up, and I got to watch, because it's big letters. Be very careful to carefully monitor the foam. You don't want a lot of foam when it's boiling. You want it just a nice slow rolling boil. So I've got the slow rolling boil, and it's going, and then I have to add the hops. So now the hops are in there, and everything's boiling together. Nice slow rolling boil for an hour. This is where the ice comes in, because now I've got wort, which, Cody, is unfermented beer.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to cool the wort before I can put it into the fermenter. So I got to take this giant pot off the stove, put it in the sink with 20 pounds of ice and cool water to try to rapidly cool down my wort. So while I'm doing that, then I have to sanitize everything. That's the hardest. That was the part that scared me, because they're like, everything must be perfectly sanitized or your beer will die. The yeast will be killed by ravenous bacteria. It will not hurt you, but it will kill the yeast. It's anti-yeast medic, and it will kill the yeast. So I'm like, oh my God. So I've got 2 barrels that I've already installed spigots in both of them. That was before I even started the pry. You got to put the spigots on. So I got the spigots. Put my gallon of water and my cleansing mix in one barrel. That's the bottling bucket. That will be the bottling bucket. Get that all dissolved. Now I take the bottling bucket, and I pour it into the fermenting bucket, the cleansing, and I put the lid on, and for 3 minutes, I swish it all around so that the cleansing thing is getting on the lid and on all the sides, and the whole inside of the fermenting barrel now should be sanitized. Then I pour the cleansing fluid. It's non-rinse cleansing fluid. I pour it back in the bottling bucket, and I have to put in the scissors that I'm going to cut the yeast packet open with, the yeast packet itself, and the airlock that's going in the fermenting bucket. This is all happening while my wort is allegedly cooling for 30 minutes. The kitchen is just a disaster area. But I get that all, so that's all getting sanitized. My wort cools. Now you put some water, you put a gallon of water in the fermenting bucket. Then you take your big pot of wort and you pour it in there. Then you take more water and fill it up till it's at 5 gallons. Then I sprinkle the yeast on top, and I slam the lid on, secure it. And then I got to take my airlock, which allows the gases to come out of the bucket so it doesn't just explode. And I got to put some cleansing solution in there. And then I put the airlock in, and I had to take it to find my fermenting space. Now, I don't know. It's like, it's got to be a certain temperature in this. I ended up taking it down to the downstairs bathroom. So if you're in my basement bathroom, there's a 5-gallon jug of fermenting beer that today started bubbling. So there were bubbles coming up through the airlock. So the yeast is working. Things are happening. It's 2 weeks now till bottling day. And then 2 weeks of conditioning, which is where the beer sits in the bottle and the yeast eats up the last sugars and it carbonates. So in a month, right around Thanksgiving, I'm going to have 48 bottles of amber ale that we're going to have to knock back.
Dude, let's do it.
It's but then I got to be a scientist, because once everything's in the fermenting barrel, I take this giant test tube and I fill the test tube up. Then I take my hydrometer and I got to drop it in, and it gave me the first reading on what my ABV and everything, the gravity of my wort. So and I had to stand there with it at eye level. I'm following the directions. I drop this thing in and it floats up to a certain point, and then there's the line, and that's where it was. And I'm like, okay. So I wrote it down in my little brewer's notes. It's crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So this is not like, I mean, as I'm doing this, I'm like, oh man, Chris Vallow and all our brewer friends, they're actually like figuring out which grains to use and which kind of hops and which yeast and which malt and all these other things. I'm basically just following a recipe. Oh, your mic is off.
I'm on mute. Hang on 1 second.
Uh-oh.
Be right back.
It's the boy. So yeah, so that's that was yesterday. I finally decided I would use it. And we'll see. I'll let everybody know how it goes. So yesterday I had to order bottles, because the kit comes with everything you need except bottles. Thankfully, it said how many bottles, because I was just going to get like 24, but then I would have had, a lot of beer left over. So I'll be bottling. They give you get the caps and this, what do you call it? Something that squeezes the cap on the bottle, a capping tool. So yes, it's I figured, after years of talking to brewers on the radio and now doing the podcast, that I should actually kind of at least know what it's about, because I talk to these guys and women, and it's fascinating to me. But I figured this way, at least I can't equate it, but everybody started as a home brewer. That seems to be the common thread throughout all our interviews.
They did. Actually.
Is that everybody started as a home brewer?
Yeah.
So now I could go, well, I'm a home brewer too. Carol says I should sell a few to listeners and donate the proceeds to charity. Well, maybe we could set up a thing.
Ooh, we can do that.
Sell off a case.
Yeah.
Sell individual bottles. $40 a bottle. That seems high.
We can set that up. I could probably set. Yeah, we'll talk. We'll talk.
Yeah, we'll talk about it, Carol. It's going to be about a month till it's ready. And again, I have to ask somebody, because now, since it's been sitting, all the sediment has settled to the bottom. So there's like a 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch of sediment, all the hop and malt sediment that's at the bottom, but it's below where the spigot is. So I'm guessing everything will fill down to the spigot, and then the sediment's too low to get into the, to get drawn out of the spigot, unless I shake it up. But
that's awesome.
Yeah. It does. Danny, you are right. Danny says it sounds like a lot of work for something you can buy at Jewel for $20. It wasn't a lot of work. It was time consuming, because the hardest part was waiting for the water to boil. That was honestly the worst part. It's like, oh, come on. But I would imagine if you were creating the recipes yourself, it'd be cool. This was cool.
Yeah.
And since I have, no sense of smell, I doubt I'd be trying to create my own recipes, because I can't smell the hops and the different things. But this place has a million different recipes that you could just buy the recipe box. Nice. But I'll see. And I also got an offer from Chris Vallow, the owner, the brewer at Exit Strategy. Any help I need? He wanted to know if I wanted a brew buddy. I'm like, oh. So I wanted to do the first one by myself,
Yeah.
because again, I looked at it as cooking. And if you can read, you can cook and follow a recipe. So I just took my time and I read and I followed the steps, and it looks, so far everything looks right. The color is right. The yeast is working, and it looked like I was right at the spot on my hydrometer for where I was supposed to be starting for my ABVs. So everything looks like I'm on course.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I think it sounds awesome. And I'm sure Danny meant that as tongue in cheek, but
Oh no, I
obviously-
wasn't. I didn't take it as a offense. It does, it is much easier to run to Benny's or Jewel.
No, but there is a satisfaction in doing your own stuff.
Listen,
we all know that.
It comes with labels. I get to initial it and put the date, and
Yeah.
oh yeah, it's yeah. And I wanted to know what it's like. I wanted to, because again, we talk to people about this all the time. So
Yeah.
at least I wanted some semblance of, yeah, this, okay, I get it. I kind of see what it, where this goes. And Catherine, our co-host on Crafty Brewers, Tales Behind Craft Beer, loves fermentation science. So she's going to love to talk about me, putting the yeast on there and it eating the sugars and the creating the gas and everything bubbling. And oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I just hope the bucket doesn't explode.
I mean, well, it's in the basement. So, if it does.
That's why I picked it. It's a tile floor in the basement bathroom. Something happens.
Boom.
Oh, well, right down the drain.
Boom. Speaking of the Jewels, sorry, I had to run downstairs because the Jewels delivered groceries.
Oh, okay. At this hour?
Yeah, we got back from the Shatner thing. We dropped the kids off at daycare this morning. I came home. My wife went to work. I'm sitting around. We didn't have any. The fridge was empty. Like, we needed food. I'm like, you know what? I'll just have Jewel deliver it.
There you go.
Because I'm not gonna waste.
Because you're bougie that way.
It costs like $4 for delivery. I mean, yeah, I tip them too, but like the amount of time it saves me to go there and walk around and look for stuff and blah blah blah. Like, I know exactly what I'm gonna get. I look at my cart from last time. I reorder 80% of it, buy like 3 other things, and I'm done.
Nice.
It's 15 minutes. They show up. But anyway, they were ringing the doorbell like every 30 seconds.
Oh,
my
no.
wife must be asleep. I thought I heard her go downstairs, but I didn't. So she's got to be asleep, which is fair. We didn't get to like 1 a.m. last night, get home till 1 a.m. or so. We crashed at my brother's place, who watched the kids, which was very nice.
It was very nice.
But yeah, so super late night for her. So anyway, I honestly, they were ringing the doorbell
a lot,
and just like waiting and then ringing it and then waiting and ring. And I'm like, well, I don't know if they'll ever go away, so I better just go handle.
Yeah, no, because maybe they just can't leave them on the step. Danny sent another message saying he didn't mean harm or offense. I didn't take it that way at all. I thought it was just a statement of fact. So no, we're all good. It is a lot of work, and I would imagine if you're creating the recipe yourself, it's exponentially more work. And then some of the recipe boxes that I looked at on the website for Northern Brewers, who is where Debbie got this, there's some recipes where you need more equipment. I would say they make a giant boil pot, and then like those gas burners for outside that they use for crab boils and stuff. And when you're deep frying a turkey, they make those for the beer boil pots.
Wow.
Because my stove, not pumping out the BPUs I needed to get that really cooking. But it's done. So in 2 weeks, I'll tell you how bottled they went, and then in a month we'll imbibe.
Now I'm guessing you'll assess how well it came out before you decide whether you want to continue to pursue this.
Yes,
hobby?
I won't do. Yes, I'm not gonna. There will not be. I'm not gonna be like have three different buckets full, all fermenting at different times. Well, I've got a bottle in the end of October and the middle of November. And no. We're gonna see how this all works, and if it works out okay, maybe as the spring comes, I'll do some more, and so that they're ready for So yeah, I'll see.
Where does one get a 20-pound bag of ice?
The Jewel, ironically enough.
20?
Yeah, Jewel has the 7-pounders the regular size, and then they have a 20-pounder, which is remarkably good priced, because at Jewel it's $250 for 7 pounds. It was $550 for 20 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah, so I bring home the giant, but you can also get them at Costco or Sam's. They have the giant bags of ice.
Okay.
So I brought it home, threw it in a cooler, left it outside, and when it was time, filled the sink a couple times with the ice and the water, and then it it still seemed hot or warm when I was pouring it in, but not boiling.
Yeah.
So
now I know you probably don't know the price of the kit itself, right? But like,
I think it was like, I'm going to say between 125 and 150 bucks.
Okay, and then with supplies still under.
That was like, that covered everything to do the beer except for the bottles. Everything was in that the box I opened the other day had everything I needed to brew my first batch of beer.
Oh, okay.
So then yesterday I ordered bottles. And I was saying, when you were gone, I was only going to get 24. Thankfully, I read it said you needed 48 bottles. So I ordered 48 bottles of beer. And then, so that's all that doesn't come. So the bottles were like $30. And so the whole thing just starts under $200. But like I said, it was a Christmas gift. But yeah, to get your first batch, it was, I think, between 120 and 150 bucks.
Nice.
So Marta wants to know what kind of water. I use just good old Chicago tap water, because all the instructions said it multiple times. If your water is drinkable, then brew with that water. So this is going to be good old Chicago water amber ale. We'll see.
Nice.
But I figure it boils off and whatever. That's the only thing you don't have to sterilize is the boil pot, because it boils. So that was that.
I'm excited to try it. Oh, speaking of beer, quick tip. Tomorrow morning, Revolution is releasing the next Deepwood Series beers.
Really?
I think they usually go online at like, or they usually go on sale at like 9 a.m. I want to say, but one of the, come on, where is it? One of the beers that's going on sale is Death by Cherries.
Oh,
which is like Death's Tar, but with cherries. It begins Tuesday, October 17th, at the storeroom. So yeah, I'm gonna usually sometimes I tweet about it a few minutes before. I'm pretty sure it's almost always 9 a.m. Sometimes they sell it really fast, but it's gonna be Cafe Death, Death's Tar, and Death by Cherries. I don't think they ever sell out of Death's Tar or like Cafe
no,
Death.
they bring that a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Death by Cherries, I don't know how limited that'll be. Oh, it actually says 9 a.m. Central pre-order. So
Perfect.
I'm gonna be on the website tomorrow.
Good for you.
Beer tip. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm into that stuff. Although I haven't been drinking like very much.
No, I've been drinking Oktoberfest because I bought some, but I haven't been drinking them a lot. So I still have a few. I got to get some more before they're all gone. Got to go to Binny's and stock up on a few more Fest beers and Martzens before the season is over. Which, if you're saying, hey, what's the difference? Well, why don't you read the blog on Crafty Brewers Tales Behind Craft Beer? That's boom, a plug-a-roo.
Is that craftybrewerspod.com?
It is craftybrewerspod.com. And this is exciting, Cody. I don't know if you know this, but the Crafty Brewers podcast now has merchandise.
It does.
We are cross-promoting like mofos. Oh, Mike went up to Wisconsin and got New Glarus yesterday. Love it. So if you go to craftybrewerspod.com, you can read the blogs. You can purchase our sure-to-be award-winning merchandise. It's fantastic. Good prices, free shipping. So
the merchandise. Like there's some really good stuff on there. Like, even if you don't love.
Oh no, right in the middle of your plug, you broke up. Oh.
Beer or know much about beer, even if you don't I'm back.
You're in and out.
Really?
Yeah, check out the merch. Listen to the podcast. It's going very well. We're booking a lot of good brewers, and everybody seems to be having fun. And my merch is supposed to arrive tomorrow. I ordered some.
Nice.
Yes, so I will be when I go down to Carbondale this weekend. I'm going to be sporting some Crafty Brewers merch.
Nice.
Maybe I'll talk to. Oh, I'm going to talk to the Big Muddy people, I hope. Yeah.
Wednesday, there will be a new episode. I don't remember the brewery. I have to finish editing it, but there will be a new episode this week.
That's good.
Going down to Carbondale, talk to me about that. And then I should go get the 20 bags of groceries off.
Yeah, no, we got to get rolling because I got to drive to Milwaukee in the morning because next week I'll have stories. I'm going down to Carbondale because this week is SIU's homecoming. And for my birthday, Debbie and Molly had arranged this whole thing, and it was supposed to be a surprise. Some of my friends from college are flying in from all over the country, and we're staying at a cabin in Giant City for 2 nights, eating some barbecue, having a tailgate on Saturday at the game, and I will be going at some point. We'll be going to Big Muddy Brewing, so I'll have to bring my Crafty Brewers business card to do some crafty brewing networking. And so I'm very excited. I'm excited. The weather's supposed to be nice. SIU is 5-1 for their season this year, so it should be a good game. And it's it'll be fun. I'm sure I'll have some stories.
Yeah.
Hopefully none of which involve me falling off a cliff or the water tower at Giant City or getting run over during a tailgate or any of that. But so yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It'll be good. And I will talk to I'll have more stories about that next week. So let's you got groceries on the porch, and we'll just tell everybody that we appreciate you being here and listening to this podcast and supporting Realities May Vary. We urge you to go to and subscribe and like and give good reviews to this podcast, obviously, and we always appreciate when you do that. But then go to craftybrewerspod.com. Check that out. Check out an episode of the podcast if you haven't heard it. They're right there on the website. You can listen to one there. Then you'll say, "Oh, I must subscribe to this," and go to your favorite podcast platform and subscribe and leave some nice reviews there. And why not pick yourself up a nice T-shirt or sweatshirt? We have some cropped sweatshirts designed just for the ladies. That's what I was told. Some of these crop tops are for the ladies. We got hoodies, long sleeve tees. We got short sleeve tees. We got a coffee mug. We got some hats. Oh, it's fantastic. Did I mention free shipping? It's free shipping. It's crazy, Cody. Crazy.
The merch looks really, I'm telling you, can't hype it up enough. craftybrewerspod.com. Let's go, dude. And new episode drops this Wednesday. All of the apps, the Spotify and the Apple, YouTube, whatever. Crafty Brewers Podcast. Tales behind craft beer.
All right. That's it. Well, thanks for listening again. Thanks for your support. We will talk to you again next week. Cody, any final thoughts?
Never. Except for bye.